Have you ever seen that it seems like the more you give, the less you get back? You're always there. Being the thoughtful one means doing the little things, but they don't seem to notice. In fact, it's almost like if your kindness isn't being seen, you text them first, make plans, and you show up over and over, but people don't care or respond fully each time. It seems like the nicer you try to be, the less they care about you. People don't see it as kindness when you're too nice. They see it as they think you'll always be there, always be available, always be ready to. When you give in to their demands, they'll treat you like a choice instead of a person. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, the most important thing is not what happens to what it does to you, but how you respond to it that counts. The way you've been reacting could be you're feeling underpaid right now because you want them badly, you're always giving, and you're afraid. The fear of being forgotten has made you act in ways that hurt your case instead of strengthening theirs. Their never-ending acts of kindness have only shown them that you're always there for them and happy to help. The space you see when you keep going is caused by desperation. When you put someone else's happiness before your own, you're telling them that your needs don't count. Hurts their respect for you and puts you in a position where you're easy to forget about. Stoicism tells us that true power comes from what we do and choose, not from trying to get other people to like or agree with us. Think of it like a magic trick. The performer doesn't tell all the secrets right away because if they did, everyone would know them. Lose interest. It's the secret and the tension that keep people interested. Need to do the same thing with your relationships. In this movie, we'll show you how. Find out how changing how you react can totally change how people see you. You'll also learn why being nice is important. Always isn't the answer. And here's how to take back control of your worth by taking a step. Get ready to stop running, stop pleading for attention, and start standing in your own power. Worth your time. Stay with me as I list 7 reasons why you should stop being so nice, and how to change the way you think and getting to know each other. So before we go any further, it's time for today's thoughts. As the wise Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, first say to yourself, what would you be? Then do what you need to do. Now is your chance. Say the change you want to make, then close your eyes and say after me, I quit being nice. Now don't just say it out loud. Let everyone know in the comments that you're sick of being taken advantage of. Let the world know. You're taking back your power today because you're ready for this change, so don't skip this step. Say it out loud in the comments. Done, my Stoic friend. Let's go. Begin now before we get into those strong reasons. Let me clear up something important that scares you. Yes, that long-term worry that you will fall behind if you stop being too nice. People will move away from you if you stop being the person who makes them feel special. But let me tell you something. You can take it from here. Being too nice isn't what starts a romance, or just think about where standing too close to someone has gotten you. There's no doubt that you are important if you want to be. Being ready to do such things for other people shows how valuable you are. But here's the harsh truth. They don't see it, and won't, until you stop giving them your value on a silver plate. If you want to show them something, get their attention. You need to start valuing yourself more than you value their praise, because you see every time when you go out of your way to make them happy, you make it clear that your own needs come first. Your own wants and needs aren't as important as theirs. And what does that say about them? That you don't think you're worth it in the first place, that you're always ready, able, and willing to work. Don't act that way. It's desperate, so here's what you need to do. Do start drawing lines and setting limits that show respect for yourself and self-worth. This isn't about being mean or cruel. It's about, so you don't feel like an aside. You need to stop being their go-to person for fun unless you want to be. They understand that real connections are based on giving and taking. It's time to change the dynamics so that no one person starts the process alone. Don't worry about it. The only person who tries is you. Pull back and make them. Let them wonder where you are, what you're doing, and who you're with. They have been ignoring for a long time. And once they do, They will begin to understand how much they've taken for granted. Know your worth and step into your strength, and show them what life is like without your extra kindness. It's tough, but they'll do what they need to do if they really care about you. Then you'll avoid one-sided love. You're worth so much more than being someone's second choice. Choice or backup plan, it's time for them to see you for what you really are, a powerhouse. If you haven't already, close your eyes and say, "I quit being nice." Set it in the comments, and now is the best time for you to make your promise. The film is public and powerful, and if it speaks to you or helps you, if you think something is wrong, click the like button to let me know. If this kind of material is making a difference in your life, please let us know. Importantly, it tells us to keep making films about this subject, to keep diving in order to get to the bottom of what it means to truly respect yourself and others. 1. You give up your own happiness to keep this discussion going. Let's get real. The first reason you should stop being so nice is that it costs you your own happiness. Happiness is tough to take, but being kind all the time and bending over, putting yourself last to please someone costs you a lot in terms of your health. You might not know it at the time, but every time you put their wants ahead of your own, you're slowly remove yourself from the situation, and what's left is a worn-out version of you. Let's talk about the real sad and strange person. There's a reason for this, and it's simple. You want to draw them, whether if it's a love partner, a friend, or even a coworker. You're going the extra mile. Bend over backwards to keep their good graces. But here's the catch. When you're always trying to make them happy, when you lose touch with what makes you happy, you start living your life based on what other people want and need. Okay? And in the process, you start to fade away. Now tell me one thing. Are you interested in someone who doesn't have any clear life goals or passions? Someone who just goes through each day, without a drive, living only to please other people? Of course not. We are naturally drawn to people with a sense of direction and purpose and a fire inside them. People are passionate about their own growth and sure of their way when people are drawn to them because they value themselves, which makes others want to do the same. Think about what happens when you give up your own and value them too. For someone else's happiness, you become desperate. There's no other way to say it. It's not that you're following these nice rules. You're not doing things because you want to. You're doing them because you think you have to. You think that if you stop, give them what they want, and they'll stop being interested in you. People can feel your despair, which, my friend, is the death of attraction. When you do things because you're afraid of losing them instead of because you really care, it's a huge deal. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, said that if you live in peace with nature, you will. If you live your life based on what other people think, you'll never be rich. When you give up your own needs in a partnership, this rings very true. To keep someone in your life, you're living your life based on what they want, not what makes you happy. If you're not in harmony with yourself, you're hiding your real nature for the sake of other people. As proof, here's a situation that a lot of you may be able to relate to. Someone and stop being yourself, you start acting like that person. You think will make them happy? You text them first every time you change your plans. Schedule so they can reach you whenever they want, and you play down your own needs. To fit in with their life, they might like the attention at first, but over time you'll start to notice something strange. They're pulling away. Because all the nice things you do make you look weak and desperate, you've become too dependable, too easy to reach, and frankly too boring. Because you're trying to make them happy, you've taken away all the wonder and fun that come with a healthy relationship. In their eyes, you're no longer equal. You're just someone who's always there, someone you can count on to put your pleasure before their own. That's not beautiful. No one wants to be with someone who takes no pride in themselves and don't think they're worth anything. Like a fire, they need fuel to keep going. As a partner, your happiness, self-worth, and limits are the fuel that keeps the fire going. But when you're too nice and make sacrifices, putting out your own wants and needs is like adding fuel to a fire fade away. You're no longer exciting, passionate, or interesting. It was just a dull spark trying to revive a flame that was dying slowly. Being the guardian who has their own life and things that interest them becomes someone whose only goal was to make other people happy. But guess what? People who are drawn to fire are more likely to be interested in another person. They love their own lives, have their own goals, and care just as much about their own happiness as anyone else. Stoics thought that happiness comes from inside by living a good life. Marcus Aurelius said that very little is more important than living a life that is in line with your beliefs and your true self. Everything you need to live a happy life is inside you, in the way you think. You are not living in line with yourself if you are always putting someone else's happiness before your own. If you're not living for yourself, you're living for someone else. And that's not a good way to live life. You need to get back your power, happiness, and sense of self-worth. Giving up your own happiness to get someone else's approval is what you are. You deserve love, respect, and happiness on your own terms. And here's the thing. When you stop going after someone else's approval and start putting your own happiness first, somehow, you become more beautiful, and people are drawn to you. People who value themselves, live honestly, and don't make sacrifices. Stop putting other people's wants before your own, okay? Of your own, set clear limits, work on your own growth, and reignite your love of life. When you put yourself and your happiness first, remember that people will automatically start to respect and value you more. You need to respect yourself in order to have a good relationship. Don't worry about what they think. Here's what I want. You should close your eyes and say out loud, I choose my happiness. It's time to take back your power and sense of self-worth. Say it out loud and let it sink in. And your happiness? And if you're still with me, drop this statement in the let me know when you're ready to stop reading I choose my happiness. Willing to put your health at risk for someone who doesn't care about you. Friends, this is just the start. We have 6 more reasons why you're missing out on 2 nice people. And trust me, you won't want to. Each reason will help you take back control of your life, relationships, and happiness. Your sense of self. So stay with me. This video, it will help you break free from the chains of being nice and moving. Number 2. Being too nice makes you less powerful. This is the truth that hurts. Being too nice doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look weak to be kind, caring, or attractive. I know that sounds harsh. I know this sounds cruel, but hear me out. When you're always going the extra mile for someone, whether you're trying to, if you want to keep them or get them to stay, you're really showing that you're willing to give up your own value to make them happy. And that, my friend, isn't strength. It's surrender. Think of yourself as a pillar supporting a house. If you're not sure of yourself, people will walk right over you. The house is strong and stable, and it stands tall and tall, admired, but what will happen if that pillar softens and bends? The building is under a lot of stress and is beginning to fall apart. No one trusts it. To keep anything up, that's what happens when you're too nice to people. You become weak. Pillar always giving in to their wants and needs, you lose your strength, and when someone sees that you'll do anything to make them happy, even if it means giving up your own happiness. People, if you show low self-worth, they will not only lose respect for you, but also respect you less. By being too nice, you show strength, limits, and self-respect. Show that you don't have those things by being ready to take less than you deserve. Keep them in your life and ask yourself, would you want to follow? Someone who never stuck to their beliefs and never had an opinion or a plan of their own. No, we don't follow pushovers. We're drawn to confident people who know what they're worth and won't give it up for anyone. When it comes to partnerships, if you can't stand up for yourself, why would anyone else? Next to you. Let me give you a simple example. You're on a boat with someone else rowing down a river, but you're the only one. You're trying really hard to keep the boat moving, but they're just sitting there. That's how being too nice looks. They're just chilling out and letting you do all the work. Like in a relationship, you give and do all the mental work, while they do nothing but sit back and take it. Eventually, you'll get tired, worn out, and drained. The worst thing is that they might just jump off the boat, leaving you to row by yourself because they think you're being nice all the time has made you weak and boring when you're always ready and say yes. You're no longer a mystery when you put their wants before your own. Challenge. There's no longer any spark in the relationship, which leads to disaster. People want a balance in their relationships. They don't want someone who will do everything for them. Not giving anything in return, being too nice, makes people dislike you too. You stop being interesting to them and become someone they don't need to be interested in. Because you've made it too easy for people to get you. If you think about why someone broke up with you after all the things you did for them, this could be why. It's good that you didn't give them a reason to stay and didn't question them. They didn't have to work hard to get your attention or respect, and they were mean. As silly as it sounds, people don't value things that are too easy. Picture a cat with or a toy that doesn't move and is easy for the cat to grab. Quickly stops being interested in that toy, but if it moves, jumps. And if you give the cat a little task, it will stay interested for hours. The same way, if you're always open and always giving without asking for anything, the other person won't stay interested if you don't give them anything in return. You'll lose interest just like a cat does with a toy that doesn't move. What can you do? You need to change the dynamics. Stop being too nice. Don't say yes to everything. Instead, set limits that will protect your time. If you're always giving without getting anything in return, it's time to take a break. Take a step back and give them time to miss you and understand what they've been missing, and to become grateful for what you bring to the table. People will start to respect you more if you stand your ground and show that you value yourself. Being strong and giving you more value isn't about being mean or not being kind. It's about knowing how much you're worth and not letting anyone take advantage of that. Being kind shouldn't come at the expense of your own happiness. In the end, being too nice doesn't make you likable. It makes you, if you want to keep someone in your life or attract someone, you have to. If you want to be nice, stop giving up your strength and limits. Being nice can make you look weak, and people don't like weak people for long. Here's what you need to do. Remember that limits that are strong are attractive, are important, and being too nice will only make you miss out on opportunities. No matter what, don't row that boat by yourself. Let them join you, or let them leave them alone. You deserve a partner who sees your power and values it. Someone who takes advantage of your kindness. Close your eyes and affirm, I am getting stronger. If this speaks to you, please leave it in the comments to let me know you're still with me. Reason will go into even more detail about why being too nice is stopping you from third. It keeps you from getting the relationships you really want. We're now going to talk about the next hard truth. Being too nice stops your. When you always put other people's wants before your own, you're not giving yourself time to grow as a person. Keep in mind that when you stop changing and improving, you become stuck. People are pulled to growth because it kills attraction faster than anything else. Love and purpose, not to someone who is stuck in one place and doesn't know how to live. Hey people, here's the thing. When you put someone else first, universe, you don't give yourself any room to grow because you're so focused on getting. They're glad that you forgot to go after your own dreams, goals, and personal thinking about growth. Picture a plant that never gets sunshine because something is always blocking it. No matter how much water you give it, if it doesn't get sunshine, it will die. To you, when you give up your own growth to always please someone else. If not, you'll lose that spark that drives you, and you'll lose yourself in the end. I'm telling you, when you lose who you are, you lose what makes you beautiful. Why do we like people who are driven, ambitious, and have a sense of direction? It's because they're going forward. Moving forward and always getting better, but when you're too nice, if you always do what other people want, you won't grow. You'll stay the same. Makes you less interesting, less thrilling, and honestly less wantable. Let me give you a real-life example. You want to draw someone, and in the process, you start to build your life around them. You become interested in their hobbies, and you start to change your plan to fit theirs and say yes to everything they want. Even if it means giving up your own needs at first, they might value the but. After a while, they start to feel something change, and they start to drift off. Goes away, and you wonder why you were so sure you did everything right. Nice, helpful, and always available. But that's exactly the trouble. You people are drawn to people who live for others instead of themselves. People who are on their own journey and have their own hopes and dreams start to lose when they stop growing interest in you because you're not the same person they were interested in at first. You've stopped pushing them, inspiring them, but now you're just the same old thing. And when there's no change, no thrills, no stress, and no intrigue. Let me give you an example. To make it even clearer, picture yourself climbing a peak, with each step standing for personal growth, for your own good. If you're climbing with someone and they stop moving, just standing there, what will happen? You'll get angry at some point, right? They're stopping you from reaching new heights, but don't give up. How do relationships change when one person stops helping the other person grow? Starts to move away because they need someone, even if they don't know it. Who is growing with them? This is also what happens when you're trying to attract someone but have given up on you. Grow as a person, you become like that person who is standing still on the. They start climbing the mountain and look for someone who can keep up with them. Here's the catch. When you miss out on chances to make yourself happy because you're too busy making other people happy. For self-improvement, you stop focused on your own hobbies, interests, and in the end, you become someone who has lost their sense of. It's not just beautiful people who don't feel like they're growing as people. Others think it makes you look bad on yourself. One day you wake up and realize this. You're not nearly as good as you used to be because you were too busy being nice to someone else. So, the answer is simple. You need to start putting your own growth first. When you start to focus on your interests, your goals, and your personal growth, people who want to be a part of your journey come to you as you grow. Keep your self-respect and drive your goals, and that's personal improvement that is magnetic, is more than just becoming a better person. It has to do with keeping your relationships interesting and fun when you're always changing, which keeps things interesting, and you push your partner to grow along with you, and that's what makes a deep relationship last. Imagine being with someone who is stuck in the same place, or someone who is always getting better. Which would you choose? It's obvious that they want to learn more about themselves and become better people, right? People want to be around people who make them want to do better, not people who are happy to do nothing. When you want to get someone to like you or stay with you, if you stop growing, you become less attractive. Take a look at your life and ask yourself, am I happy? Or am I stuck? If you've been giving up your own growth to making someone else happy, it's time to shift your attention to yourself. As your interests, set goals, and change into the person you want to be when you reach them. You'll feel better about yourself and naturally draw people close to you who value and accept your growth. Close your eyes and say, I choose growth. Then, leave this statement in the comments. I see you're still watching, and it's almost the middle of the show. Share your questions, thoughts, or personal stories if you have any. Please tell me what you think in the comments, and if you haven't already, don't forget to click the like button below this video. You've already done a great thing by sticking with me. So far, I dare you to stay with me until the end. Trust me, I know what's coming. Next, we'll give you even more ideas on how to change your relationships and way of thinking. 4. They see you as always ready. Never a first, let's be honest. When are you always ready to talk to someone? If you have to drop everything at the last minute to meet their needs, you're not making yourself a priority. You show them that you'll always be there for them no matter what. How they treat you, and the hard truth is that if you're always there for them, they'll start to lose value in their eyes. They don't put what they know they can get first. Imagine an all-you-can-eat spread that you can go to whenever and wherever you want. That's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At first, having so many options all the time is fun, but after a while, it gets old. Why don't you enjoy it more? Because it's always the May. You know you can show up whenever you want, and nothing will change about you. You stop caring about the. In my experience, that's exactly what happens when you're too open to relationships. Someone knows you'll. If you don't always say yes and be there for them, they will stop seeing you, and start seeing you as a choice. Think about it. When was the last time people are built to chase things they don't have to work for? To value things that take work, like love or time spent paying attention. However, if you give them everything for free and never make them earn it, Why should they value you? There isn't any. In fact, the fact that you're always available could be the reason. They're moving on to someone else if you're trying to attract them all the time. They text you and you answer right away every time they want to hang out. Your schedule. You're always ready to work with their plans, but here's the catch. What happens is that after a while, they start to trust you less because they know you'll say yes all the time, so there's no need to rush or get excited. As a result of being too easy to reach, you've lost your place as an important person in their life. Things that are rare are more desirable because they aren't always available. That's why someone who is busy and happy and doesn't drop everything for other people demands more respect and attention when people can't reach you as often. Work to make your life work, and that work is valuable because it sends the message that they should value your time and attention and treat you well. So if you say you're always available, you're telling them that on your own time. Their lives are more important than yours, and they'll start to realize that over time. If you believe it, they'll start treating you like an aside and only contact you when it suits them, because you've shown them you'll be there for them no matter what. So what you need to do is stop being so open and put your own needs first. Life, your own interests, and your own time. When you show that you're not always at any time, you'll see something amazing, and they'll start to. When they miss you, they'll understand they can't take you for granted any longer. You go from being an option to a goal. Please sign this with me. I'm a choice, and you've made it this far. Trust me. I'll tell you what's next. We'll go into more detail about everything we've talked about so far. The following things are: stay with me because I'm about to say some things that will really change the way people see you in your relationships. The real change is about to start, and you won't want to miss it. Coming up next, number 5, you get fake people. Connections. Another hard truth: if you're too nice, you won't draw anyone. Sincere people who see how kind you are will want to use your service, can use instead of value. And the more you do for them, the more they'll take advantage of you. Being too nice will only make them take advantage of you more, never giving back. Being nice without setting limits is like putting a big sign on your face that says, "I'm here for you to use." That sounds harsh, but it's true. Think about it this way. The wrong people will flock to you when you give all the time without expecting anything in return. The ones who only call when they need something and don't show up when you need them to. People who need help but don't want to put any effort into the friendship see your kindness as they use it to get what they want, not because they want something in return or because they value it. You end up with people who only want what they can get from you instead of someone who really cares about you. Imagine that you're the one throwing a dinner party and everyone else is helping you cook, serve, and clean up. Does nothing but eat without offering to help. At first it may look like everyone thanks you for your hard work, but over time you realize that no one brings anything to the table, and no one helps clean up afterward. People who leave will come back the next time they want the same thing. Like when you're too nice to someone, they take what you have and leave. When you're trying to impress someone, this is especially bad because you don't build a real relationship. You end up in a one-way dynamic because you think that by being nice, if you always say yes and put their needs first, they'll love you, have a reason to stay. But users are drawn to that behavior because they see it as a chance to make money without having to put any feeling into it, because you're doing all the work. Over time, this one-sidedness will make you feel drained and neglected. Not being satisfied, it's a never-ending cycle where you keep giving hope that one day they'll see how valuable you are, but they never do. The reason is simple. People. People who only care about what others can do for them don't value people. They don't want a deep relationship. All they want is someone who will always be there for them. They have to put in work, but here's the good news. You can change the people you attract by changing how you act when you set limits and stop being too much. If you're nice and don't expect respect, people will drift away. Since they don't want to put in the work, but the right people with real ties will step up. They will value you not because of what you can do for them, but because of who you are. So here's what you should do. Stop being nice to everyone. that don't earn it. Start seeing yourself as valuable enough to get people who like you for who you are, not just what you can do for them. Say this with me. I attract real connections. Then, drop that affirmation in the leave a comment if you're ready to make this change. The next, getting back in control of your relationships, will go even further after this point. Desperation. Let's get right to it. Being too nice shows despair. Also, being too nice can kill interest faster than anything else. Putting someone else's wants ahead of your own all the time sends a clear message that you're not interested in being alone. This need to keep someone in your life at all costs because you're afraid of losing them. Costs aren't just off-putting. They make people want to stay away even more. Think about it from the other person's point of view. When someone is desperate, they act like they're always chasing after you, bending over too much to make you like them. It feels like they're suffocating the relationship with their backwards moves to avoid any stress or space. No one likes someone who acts like they're asking for attention. Instead, they look like they want something. As sure of yourself as you are, despair shouts that you don't think you're good enough on your own. That's the problem. Imagine someone who texts and checks in all the time, and making plans to hang out with someone even though they don't seem interested in the person being followed, doesn't feel pleased. Instead, they're overwhelmed and turned off. It's like going into a store and having the salesman follow you around. Too eager to make a sale. The more they cover, the worse you feel. That's what happens in relationships. You start looking for a way out. When you act desperate or are too nice and always say yes to what they want, they will take advantage of you. They start to wonder why you're trying so hard to please them, and it doesn't make sense to them. They see it as a sign of love instead of something good about you. See it as a sign of weakness, fear, or neediness, and it makes them lose over time. I respect you, and when respect fades, so does interest. Here's an example from real life. As a dater, you drop everything to be with your partner whenever they ask to hang out, even if it means, even when you mess up your own plans or don't do what you need to, you never say no. Because you don't want them to think you're interested or even worse, lose interest in you. But what if they are interested? What you don't know is that being available all the time makes you look like you people aren't interested in people who don't have anything else going on in their lives. People who want attention are drawn to people who value themselves enough to set. Let's break it down with an example. Let's say you're trying to hold on. To hold sand in your hand, the tighter you try to hold on, the easier it is to let go. It's true that the more you hold to someone, the faster they'll slip away when you're desperate. There are times when you're too nice and too close to someone. Available, it feels like you're pressuring the link to death. That changes the balance of power in a good relationship. There's a EB in the flow of giving and taking, but when one person is too, it makes things unfair because you give too much and they don't give enough. The other person feels like they can take advantage of this unspoken mismatch. They take you for granted because they know you'll do anything to keep them, and once they know, they don't try as hard because they know you'll keep them, because you're desperate to keep them. No matter how they treat you, you should always be there for them. To break this loop, you need to shift. Bring your attention back to yourself and stop trying to show how valuable you are by being too nice. Instead, remember that what makes you valuable is not how much you give to other people, but how much you give to yourself. When you set limits and stop trying so hard to please others, you're showing yourself respect. Send a strong message. I know what I'm worth and I'm not afraid to leave if you don't. The important thing to remember is that desire grows in space, not in when you're not available all the time or when you stop trying so hard to keep someone's attention. You give them a reason to miss you and want to be with you again. People want to spend time with you because they like how confident and independent you are, not how desperate you are. I want you to say this with me. I deserve love, but I don't beg for it. Leave that in the comments if you're ready to stop being desperate and start hold on, because we're almost at the end of standing in your worth point, and it will tie everything together. 7th, being too nice makes you look needy, and that's a big no-no. Turn off when you're always there for someone and putting them first. Putting someone else's wants before your own shows that you need their approval or validation. To feel worthy and needy is bad for relationships because it says that you're not sure of yourself, even though you look strong. Even though you say you're independent, you seem like someone who needs their love, care, and time. To feel whole, think about this. Have you ever tried to carry something? The more carefully and tightly you hold on to it, the more fragile it is, like a fragile glass. When you're needy, things feel like they're more likely to slip out of your hands. It seems like the more you cling to someone, the more they want to pull away. People are drawn to those who are sure of themselves and don't need constant reassurance or care. When you act needy, you're really telling them, I don't think I'm enough. I don't feel good enough on my own, so I need you to make me feel good about myself. To feel like they have to keep someone else's sense of worth up is a lot of stress, and it makes if you're in a relationship that feels unfair and smothering, you're not alone. It might seem like you're texting them all the time to see how they're doing or to ask when you can hang out next. It looks like you care at first, but after a while it comes off as needy. Feel like your need for constant contact is too much for them, so instead of getting closer, they pull away, because they don't want to feel like they have to meet your emotional needs all the time. People are interested in your independence if you show that you're happy and satisfied with your life. Own life and don't need someone else to make you happy. It makes people want to be around you. This shows that you value yourself, and when other people value you, they're more likely to do the same. Affirmation. I want you to hold on to, I am whole inside. Feel free to leave that in the comments if you're ready to stop being needy. Take pride in your own strength and stay with me while we finish up. We talked about to help you get back your power in relationships. That's all I have to say about that, guys. Thanks for following me all the way through. Your help means a lot to me. Really helps me keep going. Please leave a keep it up in the comments. I will make more videos like this for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.